Welcome to Helium's Dev Hour, where we talk about all things Shopify development. My name is Benjamen Thornberg, and beside me is Helium's very own product manager, Mr. Kyle Weiskopf.
Hello.
Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. This is a busy man. He's got his fingers in all the pies here. So I'm excited about this episode. We're going to talk about something very special that we've accomplished as a team at Helium. We have our first built for Shopify BFS.
Yes. Forgot to wear my ring pop. We got little ring pops in the office. They're blue diamonds to correlate with the icon. Yeah.
Thank you, Josiah, for giving us ring pops. We celebrate in very small yet meaningful ways. We at Helium just run the gauntlet at getting our app Onboard B2B approved as a built for Shopify app. So Kyle, let's just start at the beginning. Let's start by defining what BFS is. What is built for Shopify?
It's a little badge. It's basically doing all the things that you would expect a quality app to do in 2026. I'm not going to go through all the requirements. Read the docs, right? There's a bunch in there, and they're ever changing. But really, it is Shopify's way of saying, hey, we have not only vetted this app to make sure it's good enough for the App Store, but our highest tier merchants or someone that's really looking for something quality, you can trust this app. More so than one that maybe doesn't have the badge. It's not to say that people that aren't built for Shopify aren't building quality apps. We have several apps that are not built for Shopify, but it just means that you've gone through the ringer in a different way.
So we're developers. We've been in this space for going on 11 years.
Yeah.
This is our 11th year at Helium in the Shopify space. Why did we choose to make Onboard B2B BFS?
There's a lot of benefits that come with built for Shopify, right? Obviously, there's some merchant perspective. Finding high quality apps is one thing. There's a filter on the App Store. If someone's searching for an app, they can look at a particular category or even a query and filter and just see built for Shopify apps. For our onboard app in particular, it's a new app for us, and it was a lot easier for us to build that app from the start with the idea of it being intended to be built for Shopify. One of our other apps, Customer Fields, is 10 years old, and there's a lot of moving parts in that app, and it's going to take us a while to get that one up to speed. We just recently got that app to be embedded in Shopify, which is one of the requirements of built for Shopify. Historically, Customer Fields was always an external app in that regard. So yeah, there's lots of requirements that go into it, and it was a lot easier to do that with a clean slate than with a big closet full of things that we got to declutter in a way. But yeah,
is that the main reason why a developer wouldn't say get an older app and try to put it into BFS, or what?
I think so. It's a lot of it. It really comes down to UI and UX. Like there are some category specific functional requirements that certain apps need to to accommodate. Like the Forms apps, for example, you got to save all that stuff to Shopify. You can't be saving that to your own servers solely. I'm sorry, repeat the question.
No, that I think you answered it. Why you wouldn't, as a developer with an older app, chase that BFS certification?
I think there's a lot of reasons, right? A lot of apps are successful without it, and weighing the amount of effort that's required to go built for Shopify versus not, there's some decisions to be made there. But yeah, I think if it's something that is not too difficult for you to do, I don't see why you wouldn't do it, right? There is nothing, I think, but benefits of becoming built for Shopify. And the benefits are vast, right? Again, there's some App Store stuff. You can even do like Plus specific app ads on the App Store.
That's right. As
a built for Shopify app. Shopify has a lot of official channels to promote apps, guides and stories on the App Store. And nowadays, I think they're saying they don't even want to spotlight or highlight apps that are not built for Shopify. So
they still do. They still do, but it's moving towards
exactly.
Shopify. The momentum is, if you're a developer and you've got an app, you need to have that badge to be promoted on Shopify's.
And a lot of services, it's always evolving on what the benefits of BFS are. But it is, you are kind of the top tier in terms of app development quality, I guess you should say. But yeah, there's a lot of good things that I think will still come out of it that we don't know about yet, right? You're just playing Shopify's game and doing what they want you to do. And honestly, all of the stuff in those requirements makes sense. It is a better experience for both the merchant and the customer. There might be some little opinionated things that they throw in there, but if you look at it holistically, It's common sense stuff. It is a better experience for everyone, and I don't know why anyone wouldn't attempt to try it and consider it. Whether or not you actually go for it, you got to evaluate that. It should be a question of every app developer of why aren't I BFS, and what would it take to become BFS? For new apps, you got to wait a little bit. And I don't know if
talk about that.
You can't just get a BFS certification out of the gate, right? Even if you had a high quality app from the start, you got to prove that you're valuable, right? And so one of the requirements is I think you have to have like 50 or 100 installs, and you have to have a certain number of reviews and a certain rating. So it's not just that you have a good quality app. Merchants have to use it. They've got to see the value in it. You've got to actually prove that you're worth something in the space. So that's a part of it too. So building the app with the idea that you want to be BFS is great, but that you also got to put in the work to make sure that the app is valuable and you're providing good customer support. It's a full thing. It's not just how the UI looks.
That should be part of your roadmap, is knowing that it's just not going to happen on that first day you put it on the App Store. You get approved to get on the App Store.
Yeah. And there's more in the process too, right?
I'm curious, if you have an existing app, let's say customer fields, would that doesn't have to have those same time constraints, because we have our reviews. It's been on the space.
We've been qualified in that regard for a very long
the
time.
big lift is the back end, and you were saying really the UX UI to meet the BFS requirements, because it really does. Built for Shopify apps, they feel like they're native to the dashboard, Shopify's dashboard.
That's the intention. They encourage you, in fact, strongly encourage you to use Polaris. You don't have to. You can be BFS without using, the Polaris UI. But whatever UI you use has to follow a lot of that same mantra, and the styling of buttons and all of that. So it's a lot easier to just use Polaris. But in the customer fields example, that's closest to heart, right? There's a lot of things that we've done in effort to be ready for BFS, but there's still more that we need to do. And it took us, honestly, a long time to get embedded into Shopify in the right way, because Customer Fields is a big app. There's a lot of moving parts UI-wise alone. And that was a big effort. Making everything responsive, packing it in to fit on a small 320 pixel phone that people still use, like myself. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, that form builder is a meaty thing.
Yeah, we've got a pretty dang robust form builder in there. It does a lot more than Shopify's does and some of the native other apps do. So it was a lot to pack in. So
Shopify wanting BFS apps to feel like they're a seamless addition to your store's admin.
Yes.
How did we deal with the tension between our design language and the BFS requirements along the way?
Honestly, that wasn't too challenging, because we always try to use the same terminology that Shopify is using to help merchants understand the message that we're trying to convey, right? We're going to call companies. We're not going to call them something different, because that's just more education. It just doesn't make sense. It's also one of the things that's part of like Shopify's best practices, not only just for BFS, but just in general. You really got to give pause when you're trying to build stuff inside of your app that you can do natively within Shopify. And, we didn't really have too much of that headbutting, because from the beginning, when we built our Onboard app, we were specifically solving problems within the core platform that you could not do. So it's not like we were recreating something that Shopify was already doing. We were packing in and adding on top and filling those gaps. Granted, those gaps may be filled in the future, but we didn't really have that problem too much. I think just because we've been doing this for so long, right? We know you shouldn't really redoing stuff that you can do elsewhere. There are some arguments for that if you're like an all-in-one solution kind of thing. But for the cases of our apps, they're very laser focused. They have a specific set of use cases. They're specialty apps in that regard. We're not trying to do everything for everyone, right? We have some purpose-built solutions in that regard.
I love that. I'm hearing don't reinvent the wheel.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
And find out what Shopify does natively, so you're not recreating something that they do either better or that can
put yourself in the merchant's shoes, right? It's confusing if there's 3 different places to go to do the same thing. Well, why is there 3? Which one is better than the other? I forgot which one I used last time. The process might be a little bit different. It's just, put yourself in their shoes and eliminate confusion is kind of the mantra.
Are there any compatibility and integration considerations that we did that a BFS app needs to adhere to that a regular app doesn't?
They're category specific ones, but in terms of like actual integrations, again, that's just a requirement of Shopify. You got to be, doing things using the Shopify API. We were already doing that from the get-go, so there weren't any changes that we had to do specifically for built for Shopify. We use all of their native APIs and all that, so it wasn't too much of a lift there. The one thing I think we had to do for Onboard in particular is utilize the visitors API, because that was a category specific requirement for Onboard. But again, each app will have a specific category, which is set by Shopify. In fact, that was kind of an interesting thing. When we launched the app originally, we got to choose what our categories were. And then we did an audit with Shopify. We thought we were good, right? And we submitted our first BFS application, and we got some feedback from that first application. And I can't remember if it was the first round or the second round, but they ended up changing our category without telling us. I didn't notice until like the last minute. I was trying to submit again, and they're like, nope, we put you in this forms category now, and now you got to do more things. So that was a fun surprise. But in general, again, there are specific categories for Shopify apps. Shopify will determine that category for you, and it doesn't seem like they will go back on that decision. It seems like that's non-negotiable once they set you in that category kind of thing. So you kind of have just to own it and go with it. And it wasn't too hard for us, but a little frustrating.
That's crazy. Yeah. Go through a little bit of that review process. What was that like?
So that is a tough one. So you really want to try and eliminate as much back and forth as possible, because honestly, it's like talking to a brick wall. There is no communication on their side. They tell you when something's wrong. You're supposed to fix it. If you have there's no way to ask them questions or say, hey, can I do it this way? Or can you clarify this? They're very thorough in, finding the problems and telling you what the problem is and referencing a doc that shows you why this is a problem. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think the first audit, they found some things, we fixed those things, and then they did a second audit and they found more things that they could have told us about the first time around. Yeah, right. So there's like some efficiency, time-saving stuff there. I get it from their point though, right? If they immediately start noticing problems, why go through the rest of it, right? It's kind of a waste of time on their part. So I get that. From our side, though, it's like, man, I wish we would have noticed this on the day one and we would have fixed it all at once. We would have gotten, through the process that much quicker. But they don't tell you when exactly they're going to get back to you. I think they do have some SLA somewhere about, a couple weeks turnaround kind of thing. But I think there was a point in time where we had submitted and we were kind of waiting for a while. And so it's out of your control. And I think that's one of the things that's challenging is you're playing their game, and it's up to them to decide when they're going to process it, what decisions they're going to make, and you just got to kind of respect the system and know that we're all doing this for the better of the merchant at the end of the day. And so if it takes a little bit longer, it's not the end of the world.
Is that something that if you had a magic wand to change the BFS process, there is a lot of talk in the office about a dedicated representative that you could talk to at Shopify as an app development company that would help us. Is that part of the magic wand that you'd have, or?
Maybe. Again, we're talking about the general audience, right? Anyone can attempt to be a built for Shopify app once you meet the requirements, and that could be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of developers at this point. So there's a scalability thing. I understand that they can't pick up the phone for every single person kind of thing, and so I don't know if there really need to be too many changes in that side of things. It's back to everyone just reading the manual. Make sure that you are reading the requirements and you're following those requirements. Admittedly, the stuff that they called us out on was in the docs from the beginning. We just didn't catch it because we weren't looking in that specific area for that specific thing. I forget even what it was at this point. It was something small, maybe like 2 toast messages showing on top of each other or something weird like that. But that's the thing. It's like these apps are fine-tuned and highly polished, right? They've covered all of the bases. They've tried to think about not only what we call the happy path of, the merchant going through and doing things the way that we want them to do it, but also handling those fail safes, right? Prevent the user from doing things that gets themselves into trouble, eliminating those confusing user experiences, and making sure that the functionality does what it says.
So part of BFS is that they review the certifications annually.
I think it's more than that, to be
Really?
honest. I don't know if they even have really told you how often they do audits. Obviously, as a PM, I watch a bunch of activity, right?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much every month they're going in there installing our apps. I don't know if that's the case for other partners,
Poking around.
but yeah, there's, some spot checks that happen, and whether those are manual or automated to be determined. But just because you got built for Shopify, it's not over. In fact, that's when the game starts, right? You do all this work to get the fancy badge, but now it's up to you to keep that badge. There's many different reasons why you would lose that built for Shopify status. And so, yeah, it's a never ending race, I would say, in that regard, and a moving target. They may change what the requirements are for built for Shopify. And hopefully there's a little bit of a grace period. You're not going to say, hey, you need to make all these changes within 24 hours because we just decided something overnight, right? Give you a little grace in that regard. But yeah, if you are a built for Shopify app, you need to be very conscious of any changes that are made to that, or other changes that are made to your app that may affect the experience and then come back to you in a bad way. So yeah, it's a game and it's a fun game to play because, again, the whole goal is to provide a good experience for both merchants and customers. And it's kind of nice to have some third party, hopefully unbiased opinion saying, hey, that's wrong. Or, you know what, you could do this in a better way. And here's why. A lot of the documentation that Shopify provides, it's not only of what you should do and what you shouldn't do, they do explain a little bit more of why you shouldn't do that, right? Like, again, put yourself in the merchant's shoes and don't confuse them, and do things that make sense realistically and not just for your specific business as an app developer.
Do you see the BFS badge? Obviously, this is newer, right? They didn't always have built for Shopify apps.
I can't say.
Is that correct?
Oh yeah. Built for Shopify is a new concept. I can't say exactly. My gut says it's maybe like a 3 or 4 year old thing at this point.
Do you see this as a positive thing for the
totally.
for the user or for the developer, or what do you?
So that's an interesting one, right? Because we joke about this internally. We've been built from Shopify since day one. All of our Shopify apps are built for Shopify and Shopify only. They are not, built for BigCommerce or any other e-commerce platform. We are from the ground up a Shopify app development company. So yeah, it's funny. It's like, why, when BFS first came out, whenever it was a couple of years ago, we're like, why do we want this? We are already built for Shopify. And then I'm also thinking about the merchant side of things. I wonder if they have that same question, right? It's like, well, there's 9,000 apps on this app store. Aren't these all for Shopify? What's this built for Shopify thing? And I think Shopify does a good job themselves of explaining what the concept is, but maybe it's the terminology that I'm stuck on or something. The one thing that's interesting too, and I doubt that they'll ever do this, right? But none of Shopify's first party apps have the built for Shopify badge, which is interesting, right? You'd think they would, but also not, because they're then competing with other app developers. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. I don't know if, I'm just speaking out loud about it now, maybe it's the label that needs to change. It's like top tier or something, like come up with something else that's not built for Shopify, because that is just such a generic name. So
yes, our apps don't exist anywhere but Shopify. Clearly they are built for Shopify.
It's kind of like Jeeps that are trail rated, right? Aren't all Jeeps trail rated?
They should be.
Yeah.
They should be. If you were talking to a Kyle Weiskopf from the past, pre-BFS,
okay,
what's one thing that you would tell that Kyle to do?
For us in particular, building mobile first. Yeah. Historically, admittedly, we really didn't care too much about mobile, especially, 5 or 6 years ago. And that's not to say that we didn't care about mobile. I should retract that. We weren't thinking about how many merchants were using mobile, specifically the Shopify mobile app, to administrate their store. And it makes sense for those smaller businesses that are on the go. This might be a side gig for them, and they're checking orders on their phone, or they're making changes to their menu on their phone, or whatever it is. And so, Using some user data, we recognize that obviously people are doing this, whether it's a good experience or not, they're still bumbling through it because they need to. So when building the new app, we made sure that we did have a mobile first design in mind, but still we didn't do as much as we could have to prepare ourselves for when we were applicable to get the BFS submission in there. Yeah, so I think we could have saved ourselves some times from being mobile first out of the gate. And so
there was a little bit of double work going on.
Yeah. We did already have some more mobile functionality than we've had on our other products and other stacks. But yeah, it's 2026. There's no excuse, right? Sure, the screen resolutions are getting bigger, but still, you got to design for the smaller viewports and make sure that it's accessible. I love the native mobile app for Shopify, and I know merchants do too, right? They're using it all the time, and making sure that your app is at least accessible and there's no like content issues. That's the biggest thing, right? Is just making sure that they can actually navigate around your UI. It doesn't hurt to have different experiences on desktop and mobile, right? There are some experiences that literally you need a desktop device for. And so we had to make some decisions on, well, what do we offer to mobile users that we may not want, to show them there versus on desktop. So yeah, it's something for consideration, but yeah, mobile friendly is a big one for us in particular. I think the other one is the category thing. Granted, you pick your category, but I had some suspicions that the category that we had chosen is maybe not the category that Shopify would have chosen for us. And so just knowing what the category specific requirements are up front is a good one, because I could foresee that being a gotcha for a lot of people, right? All the general requirements, everyone has to go through. But if you're not paying attention to the category stuff, that can get you.
And that's one you said when they pick it, you're locked in that lane.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't. And the other thing, they didn't even tell us that category had changed. I just happened to notice it in the partner UI when you go to submit for BFS. There was a little thing there that, I just happened to see. So, yeah, being aware of the category specific requirements and being mobile friendly, I think would be the two biggest. Performance is another one, but you should be doing that anyway.
Yeah, get those good Lighthouse scores.
Yeah, yep.
Thank you, Kyle Weiskopf. I appreciate your time.
Of course.
I appreciate you, and we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.